I remember, I'll never forget this. I had a lot of like being very self-conscious and like I didn't like being in front of people. I had a lot of social anxiety. And I remember like we came up with like this scenario of like she's like, okay, so say you're in like a restaurant and you have to get up and walk to the bathroom. I was like, well, I wouldn't do that. She's like, well, why wouldn't you do that? And I was like, well, I have like a whole public restroom thing anyway, but
Oh,
um
yeah.
I was like, I feel like if I stood up and like went to walk, everybody would like look at me like I'm gonna fall or I'm gonna like maybe like my clothing's out of place or whatever. And I remember she looked at me and she goes, why do you think you're so special?
Uh,
And I was like,
mm,
oh, that's interesting. She's like, everybody is concerned with themselves. They aren't concerned with like everyone around them, you know? And it was kind of
really?
like this huge realization of like, you're so right. Like, we are our own worst critics, worst scenarios, or like everything.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so the voice, the OCD voice in me, I call Ghost, which helps me to label it. And Ghost, though he definitely is not my friend, he does make me feel special. He makes me feel like I'm important. And if something feels not balanced in the relationship, no, remember, things don't have to be equal. And also, the what Ghost thinks is equal is maybe is biased. So yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. We're all together in this. We're not all so special. Yeah, I like that. That kind of takes you down from the clouds a little bit.
Yeah. Or like the plane thing, like, what are the odds that like that's gonna happen? But we're like, well, it's definitely gonna happen to me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, which is, I relate it to like movies I've seen. Well, my life's not a movie. People aren't
Mhm.
watching me. I'm not that special to, even though I'm an artist and I
Exactly.
want to be special, but, no, it's not that clear cut.
Mhm.
So would you say that's a tool that's helped you? Just,
Yeah. Yeah, that one's definitely a tool that helps me. Just trying to like let logic win sometimes is, you're kind of like looking at like I like how you said you think of it as like a ghost because it's this separate thing from you. It's not your inner voice. And it's not like, you know, some higher being talking to you or something like it's your brain getting caught in this loop and it's um so like separating that out I think is really helpful and like knowing what your triggers are and what your patterns look like I think is really helpful. I know too like your song made me think of I don't know if you've heard of Neil Hilborn. He's a slam poet. But he
no.
did slam poetry on OCD, and it
Oh,
is fabulous. And there's a couple, and so I dove deep into his stuff. He has like OCD, bipolar, depression. I mean, he is like got everything, and he just writes about it so amazingly. And I would like he performs them, and so there's like YouTube videos of him performing, and that helped me so much through my therapy. Like I felt so not alone, and I felt like and that the same thing with like finding a community, like finding a Facebook group. Like I think that was like a huge part for me too, and like seeing what other people thought of. And I
mhm.
was really scared of taking meds for a long time. And I was like, no, I can do this without, and I don't need that to change me and that kind of thing. And I went through like 2 years of therapy before I even would consider it. And then I was like, okay, I'm plateauing. I can't get any further than this. Like she would be like, okay, are we gonna tackle gas stations today? And I was like, nope.
Yes.
So then
Good.
like once I got like meds on board, like that really helped a lot because it just takes that anxiety down. I was having like so many spikes in a day. It was just constantly there, like in the background.
Yeah, you need it. And it's okay to have back steps sometimes, but like overall to
Hmm.
be saying to say I'm managing it. It's a huge relief because it really takes over your life.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Do you have a name for the voice, or is it just sort
I
of
don't. That's
okay?
kind of fun though. I should think about that.
But yeah, great. I mean, I'm so glad that you've developed those tools, and you have to you have to go through the ringer for a while to find out, all right, how much am I willing to do to help myself and to be happier?
And I see it too, like now my son is 6 and he's like starting, he's in kindergarten and like
Yeah.
I see it like the tools are like helpful for me, but also like, we talk a lot about that sort of thing with him. And, I'm very cognizant of like, okay, is he gonna inherit my OCD? Is he gonna, and so like looking for like patterns that he does or things, and I'm like, oh no, like that's a sign or and like that will even become like an obsession of my own, so I have to be like, nope, like this is a normal kid thing. And but we talk a lot about like what's real, what's pretend, and like that is like I think helpful for him. But it's hard. Like I remember being so scared of monsters when I was a kid. I wouldn't sleep in my own bed, and I slept on my mom's floor for like 12 years.
Oh my.
But mine was just all that safety stuff, and so that triggers me like when he's like, well, I'm scared of a ghost or I'm scared of a monster, and I'm like, okay, like let's sit down and talk about it, and like, um
Right. When it maybe is just, a kid being afraid of monsters.
yeah, I mean, it's like every kid is afraid of them at some point, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like, oh gosh, is he like having intrusive thoughts and how do I ask him that? And like, I remember we would go to the playground and all the kids are playing. He was like 2 and he would pick all the wood chips off of the play structure and
Oh,
he would just sit there and he would pick all of them off and I started to spiral. Part of me was like, okay, I can't have a big reaction to this because then he'll want to do it more and I can't tell him he can't, so it's like into this whole thing and I'm like, okay, let's just pretend like that's child development and I'm just pretend like that's a normal occurrence. And I think it was just like he's working on his fine motor and he's doing like that sort of thing, so it's kind of like that's how you talk yourself out of it, but it's
right. No, I can see that
really
being
hard.
triggering. It's like he's his own person. He has his own reasons. If you did it, maybe it would be, it might have been for different reasons. I can, if I have kids, I'm gonna have to watch out for those things.
It's a whole different can of worms for sure.
I bet it comes into play, and it's like a new chance to face those triggers and
And
grow.
the
But
relationship part kind of can come in too when you have a kid because it's like, am I harming them? Oh my goodness, I yelled at them. I said something wrong. How is that gonna affect their entire life? Those themes of a relationship OCD kind of can come in when you have a child too, because it's like it's a relationship, it's a
yeah, yeah, right. And like, am I a good mom? Is it, or have I
hmm
ruined their life? Yeah,
at
yeah.
the
It's
same time, it's like the things you've gone through help you to be a better partner, a better parent. I mean, being able to just like verbalize what you're feeling. And, I grew up in a very like shove all your feelings down and don't talk about anything kind of family. And so
mm,
having to like then in therapy be like, oh, this is anxiety. That's what I'm feeling. I thought, we thought I went to so many GI specialists when I was a kid because I thought I had stomach problems. I didn't know what I was feeling.
uh,
And then it
yeah.
dawned on me later in life. I'm like, that's anxiety. That's what that feeling is.
Yes, yeah, we had a lot of that be positive or fake it kind of mentality too.
Hmm
And like, let's have
Yep.
fun, let's have a good time, we're gonna make jokes, and like, it was a great family life, but it's like, what about our feelings? Like,
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
how do I get through the hard stuff? And then
uh,
trying to teach like another human how to, you're like, oh, you're feeling anger right now. Like it's there, it's literally identifying it. You're feeling anxious, you're feeling nervous, but like okaying that too. Like it's okay to feel that way. Everybody feels that way sometimes, so that they're
yes.
not like shoving it down in a hole so that it can explode later, which I think is what I did for me. Like everything I did had to be perfect and everything had to be just so and
Mm-hmm.
um,
It's like a jack in the box,
mhm
and then, oh, everything's good for a while, you have that pretty music, boom, and then it all just comes out because it's like,
mhm
it's got to come out somewhere.
right,
It's
yes,
Whereas if you're like, it's okay, all right, you're angry, you know what, let's talk about it.
like you
That
said, like in your song, like just accepting it, like letting that thought come in and then letting that thought go out. Like it doesn't
Yes.
need to get stuck. Like you can have the
Mm,
thought, you can have the feeling, and
yeah.
then you can just let it pass.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, very good. I love that. So great. Let's just end the show here with just
Okay.
the second snippet, just to send off on a nice
Okay.
hiccuping note. And that's
Okay.
basically what I end with. It's okay to hiccup. It's okay to
Mm-hmm.
be angry. It's okay to have the hiccups sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and here we go. No matter what, no matter when, through all this pain we're living in, you're worth it through the worst it's been. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold your breath. Hiccup, hiccup. Clear that hiccup jam. Drop this hiccup and scam so we can pick up where we began. Swallow your hiccups. You gotta stick up to these hiccuping highs. 'Cause they will never, ever compromise. So we can up in our sunrise.
Love it.
Shiloh?
So cool.
Oops. Yeah, so the sunrise is something that the in the relationship, their first date, they were up going up with the sunrise in a hot air balloon. So that's
Mm,
like their good moment, their
mm,
perfect moment, or at least their connecting moments.
mm.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's a hiccuping scam, and you need to get out of
I
that
know, I love that.
jam that you're talking about, this being stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. In a loop over and over.
Yeah. And I think the biggest line is they'll never compromise. If you keep giving, they'll keep taking this ghost, the
Mm-hmm.
hiccuping essence or what entity,
Mm-hmm.
will never compromise with you like a partner will or could.
Mm, right.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. Or like any sane other being would. It's like it's an unrelenting thing, and the more you give it, the more it takes.
Yeah, it's sinister and it lies to you. I mean, hiccuping lies.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it seem like it's got your back and you're special and you can be perfect if you listen to me. But nah, it doesn't. You can never stay there because nothing's perfect. Yeah.
That's right.
So great. Thanks so much for coming on this
Of course.
show for
Thanks for
Hiccuping
having me.
Mind. Hopefully, this will help others to feel less alone as well.
Yes, that's the ultimate goal for sure.
Nobody's alone.
Nobody's
Great.
alone. Somebody else is experiencing exactly what you are.
Yep. Yep. Even though you think, no way, it could be this specific. Well, no, okay, sure, everybody's different, but you'd be surprised. A lot of
Hmm.
people go through similar things. So good luck with everything, and
Thanks.
I hope to hear from you soon.
All right. Sounds
Great.
good.
Thanks, Kristen.